From homeless to millionaire, a black man's journey inspired by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. The room buzzed with clinking glasses, low murmurs, and the smooth hum of expensive tech gadgets. Silk gowns swept the marble floors. Sharp suits, pressed tight across shoulders, glistened under the crystal chandeliers. It was Silicon Valley's most exclusive gala. A playground for the richest, smartest, and most powerful minds in the world. But tonight, beneath the glitter and grandeur, a story was about to crack wide open, and no one saw it coming. Elon Musk stood at the center, the man everyone thought they knew. But when he took the mic, the room fell dead silent. Then he dropped the shocker. Tonight, I want to tell you about a man you all passed on the streets every day. A man named Marcus. Marcus. The name sent a ripple. Marcus, who? The chatter stopped. Elon's voice softened, thick with something raw, almost painful. Marcus is homeless, but his story? It's nothing like you expect. A collective breath held tight, eyes fixed on Elon. He's not just another lost soul. Marcus is an artist, a genius, and somehow he's changed my life. The crowd shifted in their seats. This wasn't the usual scripted speech about innovation or profits. This was something else, something messy. Elon pulled out a worn sketchbook. He flipped it open. Ink and charcoal sketches spilled from the pages, faces of forgotten people, cityscapes alive with despair and hope. The detail was breathtaking, every stroke pulsing with emotion. There were no glossy lines or digital polish, just pure fire. A woman in a diamond necklace whispered, "Is that real? From a homeless man?" Elon nodded, eyes glinting. Marcus's art hides a secret, his past. He's not just down on his luck. There's something powerful buried there. Something that might change everything you think you know about wealth, about success. The room stiffened. The silence grew heavy. Then came the murmurs, speculations, doubts, some disbelief. A powerful investor in the back leaned forward, eyes narrowing. To him, this wasn't a heartwarming tale. It was a threat, a disruption to the fragile order where money and power ruled. And then the whispers began about Marcus's family. Rumors surfaced. A mysterious lineage tangled with old money and dark scandals. Elon's bond with Marcus twisted into something more dangerous, more explosive than anyone imagined. Suddenly, the gala was no longer just a celebration. It became a battleground. The rich watched, scared and curious. The lights felt harsher. The music faded into an uneasy background hum. Elon and Marcus found themselves trapped in a web of secrets, prejudices, and old wounds. Marcus's rough hands trembled as his name echoed through the grand hall. The artist, once invisible, was now center stage, his life a mirror, showing every fragile crack in the world's golden facade. And as tension pulsed through the room, both men faced a choice that would shatter everything or maybe build something new. The walls closed in. The air thickened with unsaid truths. The night hung suspended, waiting for a revelation that no one was ready to hear. What happened next? What secret lay beneath Marcus's past? And what would Elon risk for a friendship that defied all logic? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The weight of the moment hung in the air, thick and tense. All eyes were locked on Marcus. The crowd was a cage of uncertainty, each breath held at the brink of revelation. Elon stepped forward, his voice steady, but there was an urgency simmering just beneath. Guys, listen, Marcus has a message for us all. His art reflects not just struggle, but resilience. It's time we open our minds. But before Marcus could respond, a loud crash shattered the night. A glass, forgotten on the edge of the table, slipped and tumbled to the floor. A shattering echo that rang through the silence. Then, without warning, the gala lights flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. Gasps erupted, confusion rippling through the crowd. "Elon, what's happening?" someone shouted. Then, in the chaos of the pitch-black room, there was a blinding flash. An explosion of frantic blares from a cluster of security alarms pierced the panic. Emergency red lights flickered to life, casting a harsh glow and revealing startled faces caught between disbelief and fear. Shadows danced wildly on the walls. Marcus stood frozen, clutching his sketchbook, pulse racing. The murmur swelled again, sharper now, a rising tide of anxiety. Whispers filled the space, gouging through the tumult of confusion. "Is this part of the show?" A man laughed nervously. Then came the wildest words, a scream from the back of the hall that silenced everyone. "They're here for him!" Panic-stricken eyes darted around, and all attention swung back to Marcus. The tension was palpable. Who's here for him? Elon's voice pierced through the thickening desesperación. Attempting to regain control, Marcus's hands shook violentemente en la realización zanca como piedra. "No, nadie se supone saber", murmuró, su voz lenta pero frantica. "No aquí". Suciudamente, una figura reventando la luz, moviéndose hacia Marcus con propósito. Una mujer descenderante de aquestas costumbres. "Marcus, es tiempo de casarte", dijo, su voz colda y leísta con urgencia. Gaspos llenaron el aire otra vez, rebotado de horror. Curiosidad mezclado con el merim. Una pared invisible se formaba para ellos. Los ricos, los elitatos que podían ser espectáculos de la muerte. ¿Quién eres tú? Elon se contó hacia Marcus. ¿Qué requieres con él? La voz colda, llenándose de gente. You've uncovered more than you know, Elon. This isn't just about art. This is about legacy. And with those words, the ambient noise faded away. The world shrink-wrapped around their exchange. Marcus's breath hitched in his throat, memories flooding back, a past he had buried deep, but the bruising truth hung heavy between them. The crowd's expressions morphed into contorted masks of shock and intrigue. A rich man in the front row suddenly stood, face pale. Could he be? The woman turned, her eyes colder than the night itself. You don't know anything, do you? Marcus isn't just the artist who changed my life. He's the heir to a fortune you never saw coming. The realization was like a slap, echoed in every clenched jaw and wide-eyed stare. The foundations of the night trembled beneath the truth. Secrets slithered from the dark corners of high society into the trembling light. Elon's expression twisted, unrest palpable. What fortune? What are you hiding, Marcus? The answer was stuck in Marcus's throat, a truth that could devastate worlds. The gallery, the art, the friendship, all of it weighed against what was coming next. Walls were threatening to crumble, and all eyes were on him. What would Marcus reveal? Would he shatter the fragile alliances built around him, or would he betray the man who had seen him? The air pulsed with confused energy, awaiting the next breath, the next heartbeat, wondering who would falter first. The room pulsed with tension, air thick with unanswered questions. Elon's gaze was intense, locked on Marcus, who shifted uncomfortably. The energy crackled. Something had to give. Marcus clenched his sketchbook, knuckles whitening. The crowd held its breath, caught between disbelief and curiosity. Then, through the silence, a sudden commotion erupted from the back of the hall. A figure burst into the space, a woman, breathless, wide-eyed. She stumbled toward the stage, her hair wild, clothes disheveled. The crowd parted like water. Voices rose in surprised gasps, murmurs spreading like wildfire. Who was she? Marcus, you need to listen! Her voice cracked, desperate and raw. Elon stepped back, surprise flickering across his face. Do you know him? He asked, eyebrows knitting together, the warmth of his earlier speech replaced by concern. The woman nodded fiercely, taking another step forward, eyes darting around the room. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She turned to Marcus, who looked dumbfounded. They're coming. They know where you are. Fear washed over Marcus, and for a split second, his emotions twisted into confusion, panic surfacing. What are you talking about? Who? The grip on his sketchbook tightened, as if it were his last connection to sanity. They, your family, she gasped, words fighting to escape her lips. They've been searching for you for years. I didn't know until now, but it's bad. It's so much worse than I thought. A murmur rolled through the gala, breaths hitching as the audience took in her frantic plea. A powerful investor sneered. She's crazy. But their eyes betrayed intrigue. Was this true? Marcus's heart raced. What do you mean? What do they want? His voice trembled, the balance of his newfound identity hanging by a thread. They'll stop at nothing to drag you back, she replied, shaking her head. You have to understand. You think being here is a chance at something better? They'll tear you apart to bring you down. Even Elon seemed rattled, his mask of confidence cracked, revealing concern beneath. What's the history here? He pressed, awareness dawning that this was more than just a dramatic revelation. As she spoke, Marcus's mind whirled. Memories flooded back, shadows of a past filled with secrets and untruths he buried long ago. He could almost hear echoes from years past, voices he fought long silenced, the laughter and the screams, the betrayal that had left him on the streets, hollow. I tried to protect you, Marcus, she continued, urgency spilling from her. But they opened old wounds. You need to escape. We need to protect you. The crowd was no longer the exclusive elite. They became spectators to an unfolding drama. Eyes shifted nervously. The stakes soared higher. This wasn't just about art or potential anymore. This was something darker, rooted in power and survival. As she finished, a towering figure emerged from the shadows at the back. A man in a perfectly tailored suit, his face cold and calculating. The air turned icy as he looked straight at Marcus. A smirk twisted cruelly across his lips. "You've made quite the mess, haven't you?" Gasps erupted. The room felt like it was closing in. Marcus's hands shook violently, his past crashing into the present with the force of a freight train. "Who are you?" he gasped, fear intertwining with recognition. The man stepped closer, voice smooth as silk but dripping with menace. "A friend of your family." And just like that, the celebration transformed into chaos. The elegant facade of the gala shattered, replaced by a web of danger. What secrets did Marcus's family hold? What price would they demand? And as the crowd recoiled, Marcus realized this wasn't just his story anymore. It was a reckoning. Elon stood frozen, conflicted. His newfound friendship with Marcus suddenly fraught with implications he never anticipated. As whispers filled the room, a single question echoed. Was Marcus ready to confront the demons lurking just outside? The night held its breath, waiting for the next act in this unfolding tragedy. The man in the tailored suit continued to step forward, his gaze fixed on Marcus like a hawk locking onto its prey. The crowd tensed, watching the face of someone who seemed both part of the shadows and the center of a spotlight that didn't shine. "Your family wants you back, and they will do whatever it takes to get you," he stated, each word dripping with thinly veiled threat. Questions ricocheted through the audience. Fearful glances exchanged. Marcus felt his heart thud against his ribcage, louder than the hushed whispers. "What do?" Just as the weight of those words sank in, a loud crash erupted from the far end of the hall. A massive glass panel shattered, cascading shards across the opulent marble. Gasps echoed as everyone turned to the source of chaos. A figure stumbled through the sparkling fragments, his face obscured and covered in cuts. "Get away from him!" the newcomer shouted, panic thick in his voice. He pushed through the crowd, wild-eyed and frantic. "They're coming for you, Marcus! We have to go!" Gasps morphed into screams, and the elegant atmosphere twisted into chaos. People scrambled, clutching their drinks, faces frozen between shock and confusion. Elon moved closer to Marcus, fear now visible in his expression. "Who is this?" His voice shook, concern wrapping around each word. "Your brother." The woman from earlier shot back, her own voice trembling. She glanced between the two men, breath heaving. "They're not just here for Marcus. They're here for both of you." "What?" Marcus's head spun. "What are you talking about? I don't have a brother." "But you do," she insisted, desperation etched on her face. "You both are part of a legacy you can't escape. They've hidden the truth from you. But it's time for you to face it." The figure, Marcus's brother, moved closer, hands outstretched. "I found you. I've been looking for years." "You don't understand. They won't stop until they have you both." The atmosphere cranked tighter, fear thick as fog. Small voices slipped through the crowd. "This is insane!" What did he just say? Uneasy exchanges intensified the electric tension. For a fleeting moment, Marcus's heart soared at the notion of family, only to be crushed by the weight of confusion. "What are you saying?" he cried, a lump swelling in his throat. "You're lying!" His brother shook his head, frantic energy radiating. "I swear on my life, there's a missing fortune, a weighty secret that ties us all together. Your art isn't just your escape. It's your family's true identity." The room held its breath, each soul suspended in disbelief. The face-off between brothers unfolded with raw emotion, hurt and betrayal hanging thick in the air. "What does that mean?" Marcus whispered, dread rolling like a stone in his gut. There was a new urgency, an awakening. "Why now? Why are they after me?" Before the brother could reply, the lights flickered once more. Panic surged, gasps twisted through the crowd as they scrambled back. Chaos exploded, adornments of wealth colliding with raw panic. Bodies surged and pushed. Directly in front of Marcus, all he could see were unfamiliar faces, the walls closing in tighter, as the truth lay dangerously close. Elon reached out, grasping Marcus's arm. "We need to get out of here, now!" But before he could pull Marcus away, the brother stepped forward, his posture squared. "No, he's not going anywhere. Not until the truth comes out." In that moment, the tension snapped like a taut wire. What truth? The question echoed in Marcus's mind, almost a plea. No one was ready. No one understood what lay beneath. As the room spiraled into chaos, Marcus felt something shift inside him. The past, tangled and messy, was clawing its way to the surface, demanding answers he didn't know how to give. Would he face his family, or would he flee into the unknown? With each heartbeat, the stakes intensified, and the choices ahead loomed like shadows, darker than he'd ever imagined. The air hung thick, a taut line, drawn between anticipation and dread. Marcus stood still, feeling the weight of 1,000 stares, the pressure building, crackling. A whisper passed through the crowd, like a gust of wind, carrying secrets. All eyes were glued on him, the artist now a bewildering focal point. Then, a sudden commotion erupted at the back of the hall. Glasses clinked as a figure pushed through the crowd, face flushed with urgency. It was Laura, Elon's executive assistant. Her hands shaking slightly, she called out, voice cutting through the tension. "Elon, you need to see this." The murmurs of the crowd rose like a tide. Behind her, a commotion erupted. She was struggling to keep ahead of a man. Wild-haired, ragged, his clothes worn and dirty. Panic swept across both Elon and Marcus. The man was a stranger, yet seemed deeply troubled. "Get security!" someone shouted. But it all felt too late. The man stumbled to the front. Breathless, he released a paper crumpled in his fist. "You have to listen. You thought he was just a homeless artist?" His eyes darted wildly, desperate. "Marcus isn't who you think he is." Elon's face shifted, concern creasing his brow. "What do you mean? His art? It's not just art. It's coded. Messages about the past, about connections. Connections to this." The man gasped, slapping the paper against the polished surface of the stage. "Connections to family wealth, deep pockets hidden from you all." Gasps rose again, a swell of disbelief washing through the gala. The man pointed. "The bloodline! Marcus is the last of a forgotten dynasty. The pictures hold secrets. Intelligence your riches don't want found. Elon's jaw dropped. What are you talking about? The crowd shifted, uncertain, whispers curling around the room like smoke. Laura reached for her phone, fingers trembling, trying to document this unfolding chaos. Eyes flicked between Marcus and the intruder, desperation and curiosity mingling. Stop! Marcus's voice cracked, raw and powerful. You don't know what you're doing! The man pressed on, urgency bubbling. They took everything from him. Everything. Hidden treasures. Connections to power that controlled whole countries. More than you can imagine. It all disappeared. The world was made to forget him. He turned to Marcus, hands trembling. You're in danger. They'll come after you if they find out you're awake. The silence fell again, heavy like a stone. A ripple of fear seemed to pulse through the crowd. Eyes darted back and forth. Was this madness? Was Marcus truly more than a man struggling on the streets? But the twist was deeper. Suddenly, another figure emerged. Tiffany, the socialite known for her charitable events, also had a past, a shared family history with Marcus. It can't be true, she shouted, face pale. My father, he took everything from your family. I thought you were... The tension exploded. Gasps turned to frenzied whispers. The very foundations of the gala trembled. An earthquake of lies revealed. What was hidden? What secrets scavenged from the depths of despair? Marcus, suddenly at the center of an unending cyclone, felt the echoes of his past break through. Memories, faces long buried, now clawing for attention. And as the room held its breath, a question lingered, burning through the thickening atmosphere. Who really was Marcus? Elon stared, the lines of friendship and ambition shifting. Nothing was certain anymore. Nothing felt safe. Shanmei, a storm brewed, and the crowd waited, anxious, hungry for answers. But the deeper they dug, the more questions took shape. The air crackled with potential chaos. The night was far from over. The silence wrapped around the room like a thick fog. The anticipation sharp enough to cut. Every eye was glued to Elon, then slowly turned toward Marcus. Sweat trickled down his forehead, his heartbeat pounding loud in his ears. He was an artist, yes, but tonight he was more than that. He was vulnerable, exposed. And then a loud crash shattered the tension. The grand chandelier above them trembled as a figure burst through the doorway. A man with wild eyes, disheveled hair, clothes that looked as though they hadn't seen a wash in weeks. The room gasped, and chairs scraped back as people instinctively recoiled. "Stop the lies!" the man screamed, his voice ferocious, echoing off the high walls. "You think you know him? You don't know anything." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A million questions surged. Who was this man? How did he get in? Was he a threat? But Marcus's eyes widened, recognition breaking over his face. Fear and confusion tangled together. "Ray?" Marcus's voice cracked. "What are you doing here?" Ray stalked closer. The cacophony of murmurs and whispers fading to the background, drowned out by the intensity of the moment. "You're gonna let them tell your story? You're just gonna sit there and take it?" The crowd shifted uneasily, straining to catch every word. The rich and powerful, usually so untouchable, looked like they were watching a train wreck. Elon stepped forward. Ray, please, no! Ray's voice sliced through Elon's words, raw with emotion. King, I know what he's hiding. I know all of it. The room felt like it was closing in. Those powerful financiers, those influential faces, they were only people now, terrified by what was coming. What do you mean? Someone asked from the back. Voice trembling, fear prickled the air. Ray turned to the crowd, eyes sharp and fierce. Marcus isn't just an artist. He hesitated, scanning Marcus's face for a moment, then continued. He's the son of a man who stole from the rich. A trust fund kid with a secret life. Gasps erupted. The air crackled with disbelief. The news spiraled in the crowd. Everyone knew what that meant. A lineage of wealth tying Marcus to scandal. Ties of privilege suddenly clouded by the dirty hands of betrayal. No! Marcus shouted, his voice rising with desperation. That's not who I am anymore. I've fought to forget. Ray cut him off. You've got to face it, man. Your past isn't just a ghost. It's alive. They'll use it against you. Elon's expression shifted from confusion to determination. Ray, this isn't helping anyone. This could ruin him. Ruin? Ha ha! Ray laughed bitterly. He's been ruined. You just haven't realized it yet. The audience sat frozen, breaths held tight. Everyone felt the weight of each secret being laid bare. Marcus, the artist, was in danger of becoming Marcus, the son of a thief. As the tension reached a boiling point, a loud thud echoed through the hall. An unexpected heavy knock on the door. All eyes turned. The crowd leaned forward, hearts racing. Nothing. What now? The air was thick with secrets and fear, thick enough to choke. Before anyone could move, the door swung open. A woman appeared, her face pale, eyes filled with urgency. I have to speak. The truth about Marcus. It can't wait. The crowd collectively gasped. What other secrets would come crashing down? The night was no longer about wealth or power. It had morphed into a whirlwind of shattered identities and unleashed truths. What was waiting to be unveiled? The tension coiled tighter, and everyone braced for the storm that was about to hit. The air crackled, thick with anticipation. Elon locked eyes with Marcus, an unspoken bond lingering. The crowd held its collective breath, confused and intrigued. Suddenly, silence broke, only to be sliced by a loud crash. The sound of glass shattering against the marble floor. Gasps erupted as everyone turned. A figure, wild-eyed and disheveled, burst through the grand entrance. It was a woman, tears streaming down her cheeks, her voice trembling with ferocity. Marcus, you have to listen to me. She stumbled closer, breaths ragged and frantic. The crowd leaned in. Curiosity peaked. Marcus's eyes widened, recognition sparking something deep within. Ava? He managed, shock rendering him momentarily speechless. The gala's energy shifted. The lavish celebration turned chaotic. This isn't just about you anymore, Ava shouted, her voice breaking. It never was. It's about all of us, about your family. The truth will destroy you. A collective murmur rolled through the room. Confusion etched into every face. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. His heart raced. What are you talking about? Ava stepped closer, desperation burning in her eyes. Your father, he wasn't just a businessman. He was involved in unimaginable things. You have to understand. The tension thickened. People exchanged nervous glances. Enough! Elon stepped forward, his composure cracking. What are you saying? You cannot just come in here and— No! Ava cut him off, her voice rising. This is bigger than your little gala. If you think you can separate Marcus from his past, you're wrong. The truth is connected to everything he is. It's been hidden for far too long. What did she know? Tell me what you mean, Marcus pressed, his fear morphing into frantic determination. She took a shaky breath, grounding herself in the midst of chaos. Your family, they were not just wealthy. They were involved in corrupt dealings, a lineage steeped in crime and shame. You need to leave this place before it swallows you whole. The truth hung heavy in the air, laden with explosive potential. A collective gasp erupted, eyes wide, a mixture of horror and intrigue swirling around the room like a tempest. Marcus's face paled, confusion mixing with disbelief. He shook his head. No, that can't be true. You have to confront it. Everything you think is real, it's a lie. Ava's plea echoed, resonating with pain. The walls of the gala felt like they were closing in, the golden light dimming under the weight of revelation. Elon's expression tightened as he took a step back, weighing the impact of her words. What did this mean for Marcus? For him? Around the room, rich investors turned wary, eyes narrowing. Friends turned cold. The tension morphed into palpable fear, a kind of dread that hung like a heavy mist. The elite, who were once wrapped in luxury, suddenly became mice stuck in a corner. Marcus felt dizzy, his entire world spinning faster than he could comprehend. Ava, please, just tell me. Before she could answer, another figure emerged from the shadows, a man with sharp features and an air of authority. You shouldn't have come here, Ava, he growled. The tension thickened. Everyone turned, recognizing the gravity of the moment. A switch flipped. The atmosphere shifted, and the stakes escalated dramatically. Suddenly, it was no longer about art or innovation. It was about survival. The gala stood frozen in time, one question echoing above all else. What were they really celebrating? As Ava's eyes darted from Marcus to the man looming over her, it was clear the truth was a double-edged sword, and they were all about to feel its cut. The night hung in limbo, waiting for one of them to make a move. The silence in the room hung like a heavy fog. Ava's shaky breaths echoed, the tension shimmering in the air. Marcus could feel it, a tight knot in his chest. His heart pounded, drowning out the whispers of doubt that slithered through the crowd. Ray stood poised, anger and pain radiating from him. The man with sharp features loomed behind Ava, his eyes locked onto her like a hawk upon its prey. You shouldn't have come here, Ava, he warned, a dark undertone in his voice. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the hall. The sound was strange, almost unnatural. It took a moment for everyone to register, but then the vibrations grew stronger, reverberating through the marble floor beneath their feet. Glasses rattled on tables. Wine spilled as the crystal chandeliers above swung gently, flickering ominously. "What is that?" someone shouted, panic creeping into the crowd, faces twisted with confusion and dread. Then came the blast, an explosion of sound, shaking the ornate walls. The doors burst open, flinging shards of wood and metal across the room. A group stormed in, clad in black, their faces obscured by masks and hoods. They moved like shadows, purposeful and terrifying. Gasps erupted. People scrambled to escape, but the entrance had become a battleground. "No! Stay back!" Ava screamed, fear slicing through her words. Before anyone could react, the lead figure raised a hand, and with a gesture, silence fell. The chaos stilled, like a scene paused in an unfinished frame. "Marcus," the voice boomed, low and sinister. "You need to come with us. It's time to reclaim what is yours." Marcus's heart raced, his mind racing with disbelief. "What do you want from me?" he demanded, though his voice trembled. Sweat dripped down his brow as recognition flickered in his eyes. The power these figures wielded was terrifying. A hush fell over the room again, the crowd frozen in a tableau of anxiety and disbelief. The man in disguise stepped forward, ripping off his mask, revealing a face that sent shockwaves through Marcus's core. "I came to find you, little brother," he said, an unsettling smile growing on his lips. "After all these years, we've finally tracked you down." "Brother?" Marcus murmured, grappling with the rush of emotion and confusion. Ava's eyes widened, vulnerability bleeding through her bravado. "What? No, this can't be happening!" The masked men shifted, tension crackling in the air, thick as smoke. The crowd exchanged horrified glances, a tide of shock washing over them. Whispers spiraled, words like hidden family and wealth tangled with fear. "Your father needs you," the man insisted, words laced with urgency. "Point, point, point. The time has come to take your place. They've been waiting too long." Stunned, Marcus stumbled back. "No! I'm not going back to that life! I'll fight! I've built my own path!" A balanced silence swirled dangerously, a storm waiting to unleash chaos. The realization washed over Marcus. Everything he thought he had escaped was back, glaring in the light. The crowd began backing away, eyes glued to the unfolding drama. Whispered doubts started to overflow. Was this true? What kind of power was Marcus tangled in? Before he could reply, the original man stepped through, voice chilling. "You think you have a choice? We own everything. Your past, your future, and now you will embrace it." A pulse of energy surged inside Marcus, anger igniting. "You don't control me!" But the man's smile widened, eyes darkening. "You'll see. You're not just an artist, Marcus. You're part of something much bigger." The atmosphere crackled with fear and intensity, uncertainty seeping through the cracks. Marcus felt his world shift beneath him, relationships wobbling. The truth he thought he understood was unraveling. In a heartbeat, something snapped. Lights fizzled and died, plunging the room into darkness. Panic erupted anew as screams echoed, blending with the pounding of his heart. "Marcus?" Ava's voice cut through the chaos, desperate and terrified. But amid the confusion, a truth was dawning, gnawing at him. What if everything he thought he knew was a lie? Everything was coming apart, spiraling into an abyss. The shadows were not just lurking, they were waiting. The crowd clamored, voices intertwining, a whirlwind of fear and what lay ahead? What darkness was unraveling? The darkness felt thick, a heavy blanket that wrapped around Marcus and the crowd. Panic surged as voices cried out, confusion mounting. Ava's face was pale, her eyes wide with fear. "You need to run!" she shouted, her voice barely breaking through the chaos. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the room, sending shivers down Marcus's spine. The masked figure shifted, closing in with a predatory grace. Marcus felt the clammy grip of dread tightening around him. It was suffocating. Then, amidst all this chaos, a loud bang echoed. A sudden, blinding flash illuminated the hall, momentarily cutting through the darkness. The crowd gasped, hands flying to their mouths as the glow revealed a scene that would be forever etched into their memories. In the flash, time stood still. Out of nowhere, a figure stood at the center of the light, completely still. It was a woman, her face familiar, yet shocking. "You don't need to be afraid," she spoke, voice steady and commanding, shattering the terror in the room. "Marcus, it's time for the truth." Marcus felt his heart drop. "Mom?" The word slipped from his lips, filled with disbelief. It couldn't be. She had vanished, lost to the shadows of his memories. "Yes," she said, stepping closer, the glow from the explosion highlighting her features. There were tears in her eyes, a mix of relief and sorrow. "We've been searching for you." The crowd recoiled. Shocking whispers cascaded through the gala, abrupt and frantic. "No way! Impossible!" People exchanged bewildered glances, the weight of her presence thrumming through the air. Marcus's hands trembled, his pulse quickening. His mother, standing right in front of him after all these years? The revelations came rushing in like floodwater. "I thought you were gone. Why didn't you come for me?" "We couldn't," she replied, her voice breaking. "They would have used you against us. You were in danger. You still are." The urgency in her words cut deep. Behind her, the masked figures seemed to tense, ready to strike. "Enough games," one said, his voice low and menacing. "You put the plan in jeopardy. You should have left him." "Leave him?" she shot back, defiance flaring in her eyes. "He is more than you know. He's the key to everything." The laughter from the masked figures felt dark, hollow. Tension crackled. "Is he? Or is he just a pawn?" And suddenly, something shifted. A figure surged forward, lunging toward Marcus. A flash of silver sliced through the air, a blade poised for impact. Tremors of fear coursed through Marcus. "Mom, look out!" he yelled, adrenaline surging. But then, without warning, his mother spun. The knife met her side. A gasp echoed from the onlookers, a collective intake of breath that felt like the world had paused. Her face twisted in pain as she crumpled to the ground. Ha 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 ha! The chaotic scene shifting into a surreal nightmare. No! Marcus dropped to his knees beside her, panic gripping him. What did you do? Why? Her breathing was shallow, but her eyes were fierce. You have to stand strong, Marcus. You are your own master. This isn't just about me. It's about breaking free. The crowd erupted into chaos, screams mingling with confusion. Everything spiraled. Marcus looked up, fire igniting in his chest, feeling the world shift beneath him. I won't let this happen. He shot to his feet, rage surging. Not again. In that moment, everything changed. His mother was crumbling before him. But her final words sparked something deep within. The line of blood, the ties he never wanted to claim. He was ready to fight for his own identity, not the one painted for him. The masked figures were closing in, but so were the secrets that had haunted him. This night wasn't just a reunion, it was the beginning of a reckoning. Marcus's heart thundered. He felt a power surge through him, a blend of pain and courage. The past was crashing into the present, and at the center of it all, he was no longer. Ava lay on the floor, blood pooling around her, while Marcus felt time stretch and snap. Panic shot through him, anger igniting like a fuse. Get back! He shouted to the masked figures, his voice raw. He dropped to her side, cradling her in his arms. Stay with me! Her eyes fluttered, and there was pain etched across her features. You have to! But her voice faded, becoming a whisper. You're the only one who can break the cycle. Don't let them win. Marcus's heart pounded. He couldn't lose her. Not like this. I promise I won't let them take you from me again. The room was in chaos. People tripped over each other, desperately trying to escape. Elites with wealth crumbled into the shadows, and whispers of fear twisted the elegant gala into a disordered nightmare. Get out! Move! Elon's voice rang in the distance, scrambling to gather his clients. The masked figures advanced, but the new energy ignited something within Marcus. He rose, anger replacing fear. You want me? He glared at the lead figure. Then you'll have to go through me. Ava's hand squeezed his, weak but steady, a spark of strength igniting in her eyes. Face them, Marcus. It's time to own your truth. His breath hitched. What if they hurt you? A glimmer of fire flashed. They already have. But in the end, you hold the power. The truth is your weapon. Use it! The lead figure smirked, stepping forward. You think you can just walk away? Your past is a chain, and you can't escape it. Marcus inhaled, grounding himself. I refuse to be a prisoner of who I was. I choose who I become. He felt the ground beneath him, the strength rising like a tide. I know what you're doing, he pressed, voice steady. I know the lies that bind us. But you're wrong if you think they will control me again. And with that, the room shifted. A wave of defiance propelled through Marcus. He thought of his art, the stories hidden in every stroke, every shade. He was no longer a victim. He was the author of his own narrative. Suddenly, the lights flared back to life, illuminating the scene. People stood frozen, eyes wide, witnesses to his transformation. A series of gasps broke out, electrifying the air. What is he doing? Someone murmured. Can he really defy them? The masked figure faltered for a moment. You won't get away with this! But I already have, Marcus shot back, determination fueling his stance. He stepped closer, unafraid. Every artist hides a truth in their work, And this is my masterpiece. Before he could say more, the lead figure lunged, but Marcus sidestepped, adrenaline coursing through him. He moved swiftly, avoiding the blow, and used the momentum to pull Ava close. She needed him now more than ever. "Help!" a voice screamed from the back, steady hands grasping for a way out. In that moment, everything combined. The tension, the pain, the will to fight surged. He looked around at the towering figures looming and the frightened faces staring back, the weight of their expectations hanging thick in the air. "This is my choice. I will face my family's truth, my history, and stand tall." The masked figures hesitated again. Uncertainty rippled through them, but there was a crack in their facade, a moment where fear wavered. "Leave him!" Ava's strength returned, and she pushed against the ground, using her voice like a weapon. "He is more than our past. He is the future." The powerful walls they built began to tremble. As the crowd held its breath, Marcus felt a surge of hope, a shift that promised something new. He took a step forward, ready to embrace the unknown, the crowd moving with him. Hope flickered in each person's eyes. It ignited something within them too. And as the masked figures faltered, the tension in the room began to ease. "Together we break free," Marcus shouted, feeling the energy course through him as he turned to the others, the realization settling in like a blanket. This wasn't just his fight anymore, it was all of theirs. But the masked man stood firm. Fear still etched across his face. "You think you can win? You will never escape the truth." "Maybe," Marcus replied, heart racing, "but I'll finally face it." He dared to look back at the chaotic swell of the room, faces alight with either fear or cautious hope. The truth would unfold, revealing secrets beneath layers of wealth and crime, untangling from the darkness into something clearer. The shadows of the past loomed still, but Marcus felt strong in the knowledge that he wasn't alone. Together, they could shed the past. Together, they could forge something brighter. As the night pressed onward, one thought lingered. Could they truly rewrite their stories? The past chased them, but they were ready to rise. But there was one last question hanging in the air, a mystery yet to be solved. Who would take the first step, and where would it lead? You have to subscribe immediately so you don't miss what happens next. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Don't hold back, and don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Let's keep this story going together.